Hey everybody, I'm Vic.
And I'm Kenji.
And we are part of the Drone Service Provider Alliance. So welcome to our inaugural show, I guess, or our inaugural taping. What are we going to call this? A show or a taping, Kenji?
I don't know. Conversation.
Conversation.
Tell people what we're actually doing.
That's always a good thing, though. Let people know what we're doing.
Yeah.
This is totally unscripted, so you all get to see us raw and in person, or at least taped in person. Yeah, that works with that too. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing, what Kenji's been doing, what I've been doing, what we've been doing as your representatives as a small and medium-sized drone service provider. Thought it'd be nice to give you guys an update.
So what's hot right now, Vic?
Oh boy.
What's hopping?
I think the hottest thing right now, obviously, is Senator Lee's bill, where it's not there yet. I mean, it's in committee, which is why we're fighting it. But a lot of people are hearing about it. We're doing some work with some of the other YouTubers out there. I hesitate calling myself a YouTuber, but the other YouTubers out there are definitely helping us, particularly Josh Bardwell and Ken Herron have been great about getting the word out to their listeners for us. And we should probably talk a little bit about Mr. Lee and what, let's be proper. Senator Lee would like to do to us, is a nice way to put it, if he gets his way with this bill.
Yeah, I heard that it gives control of airspace below 400 feet to states in localities.
200 feet.
Yeah. Now, Vic.
Below 200 feet, not 400
feet. Oh, it's 200 feet.
Yeah,
duh.
That's right. Okay. Go ahead.
So, why is that bad?
That's bad because if we have every state and city, tribal government, county, Parks Department, they can cut it into any kind of political subdivision they want. Mm-hmm. They would have control of our flights from 0 to 200 feet, and they can do anything they want to us.
When I read it, it said that it wouldn't prevent states from requiring their own equipage, like equipment on drones.
Fees. Can't go below 200 feet. You can't take off. You can't. It could get ugly fast.
Yeah. For me, the biggest concern is if the flights cross jurisdictional lines, for us, at least, for some of our flights that we do, we could be crossing 1, 2, 3 boundaries.
Easy.
And whose laws apply? I mean, if there's like equipment difference is requirements for equipment, do we have to land as soon as we get to the border and then swap out a drone? That doesn't make sense.
No, it's crazy. It really is. And is that an extreme example? Absolutely. But, when Section 336 came out, people didn't think that was going to go to the extreme it did, where everybody, it's willy-nilly in the recreational world. So it definitely needs to be something that we have to watch. We have to make sure it doesn't happen. We're trying real hard to kill it in committee. We do have an article on the DSPAalliance.org/newsroom. You can find that. We'll throw a link in below here too. And do what you can to get the word out to, I don't want to say to Senator Lee, because as you put in one of our correspondences, he's kind of a lost cause when it comes to this. He's got a lot of pressure from some other people.
Yeah.
And but we can talk to the people on the committee. And which committee is that, Kenji? I always mess it up.
It's the Committee on Science and Technology, isn't it?
And
Transportation.
Transportation, yes, CST. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I always get that wrong.
Yeah.
I blew it on Heron's show. I couldn't remember what it was. He was a good guy though.
It happens. It happens.
Yep. So yeah,
this is video, so you can edit stuff out.
That's right. Now we're gonna be live. We're gonna be raw. We're gonna be real. We're gonna be taped and raw and real. So yeah, definitely we need to get that hammered out. We need to make sure it dies in committee. And a lot of people in the know are saying, yeah, this probably doesn't have a real big chance of passing anyway. But it could be the setup for the 2022 FAA Reauthorization Act.
Yeah.
And if we get vocal about this one, then the people on that committee and other senators will understand that, this isn't going to fly through this time. You're going to have an awful lot of organized being the key word, opposition to this, no matter what you do.
What other organizations have we talked to?
Oh gosh, I think Dave Messina's in on this, is he not? And
yes.
Oh golly, you've been doing most of the talking. I've been doing most of the gabbing on the YouTubes. Who else have we talked with on this?
Women in Drones.
Women in Drones, that's right. Sorry, I cannot forget Sharon and crew.
Yeah.
They do awesome job. And
Public safety.
Public safety. So drone responders were in on that, and they're putting their stuff together, and a few of the other industry people that I don't say shall remain nameless because that sounds like there's something going on behind the scenes, which there kind of is, but people who want to help us, who can't necessarily do it publicly.
Yep. And I think what's important for everybody out there is that we take the time and actually write letters, and write letters that are unique, that tell a story about how stuff like this could impact you.
Big time.
For example, for myself, at least, I'll write about how just we travel all the time. And guess what? If we run into, we have to buy a different drone for each state, that just doesn't make sense. It's like, really? Or if they start charging fees for us to take off and the paperwork gets kind of crazy, and how that would impact my bottom line.
Oh yeah.
That's what they need to hear.
They do need to hear that.
Yeah, because it's not all about flying cars or drone deliveries and all that stuff. Guess what? We're the ones making money, and we're the small, medium-sized businesses that are actually flying drones for a living, not the pie in the sky ideas out there 10 years, but we're doing it right now.
And the vast majority of flights taken, U.S. flights taken in the NAS are commercial. They're non-recreational flights, are put on by the small and medium format. I did it again. Small and medium-sized drone service providers. Definitely.
Oh yeah. Now you mentioned it before, but it bears repeating again. Stop by our website at www.dspalliance.org and check out our newsroom, because we have some tips on how to write letters and how to find your senator. And tips on how to write it. And we've actually gone through and done some issue spotting. So there's a list of things that you could potentially put into your letter. Absolutely. But it's important that you get to it as soon as possible. I'd say in the next couple of weeks or so.
Absolutely. And today is March 22nd. So I would say by first week of April, let's get the committee inundated. And what we're suggesting is if your senator is on the committee, like for myself, Senator Hickenlooper is on the committee. So I reached out to him, middle of last week. He hadn't got back to me yet. Okay, Senator Hickenlooper, I'm going to send you another email. And if your senator is not on there, then go ahead and write to the majority and minority leaders on that committee. They are listed. We show you how to get a hold of them, and they're listed. Definitely.
Okay. That sounds good.
I think that's going to work real well for us if we get everybody's help. And I know we will. And speaking of charging fees to fly, what do you say we talk about the Texas bill next?
Yeah, that sounds good. HB 3403 in Texas. 3403,
that's right. And that is Representative? What's his name? It's spelled funny.
Cyrier.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a really weird, bad, stupid, ugly, unnecessary, and we could just go ad infinitum here. Bill, that is, we thought was dead till one of our not so favorite USS companies, subsidiaries, found out about it and it got legs. So what and why do we care about Texas? Texas is just like one of 50 states out there. Why do we care about Texas, Kenji?
Well, Texas is big.
Texas is big.
No. What's interesting about this is Senator Lee's bill actually meshes up quite well with the Texas bill. And there's some eerie connections in there, and I'm sort of scratching my head on this. But what it really does, it's sort of like the Senate bill in that it talks about navigation easements, so just areas where you can fly under 200 feet, and talks about how there'll be fees imposed on people flying through the first 200.
Yep. BVLOS.
Yeah, and what you can see that it was really meant for delivery drones, because they talk about flights that are outside direct line of sight, so you can see like beyond visual line of sight. But guess what? Unfortunately, that impacts all of us that fly visual line of sight.
Anything like this little guy right here, these little guys right here, Yeah, absolutely. The new DJI FPV drone.
Yeah. Now, it's not only FPV drone,
Mm-hmm.
but guess what? We can fly beyond visual line of sight if we have a visual observer,
Right, right.
right?
Under limited circumstances.
Under limited
Let's make sure we add that. Add to the confusion out there about BVLOS.
Yeah. So that captures a lot of folks on it. It's an unintended consequence of the way the bill is written.
It's written by somebody who is ignorant, not in the pejorative sense, but ignorant of how we work, what we do, and how we fly, how we make money. The people who help the senator or the state representative write this don't understand what we do, and so he's being fed bad information.
Yeah, I'm gonna check something real quick. I'm
Sure.
gonna pop this up real quick and tell you some of the really, really weird things that got in there.
Yep.
I mean, some of the for the drones, you have to, it has to be built in, so you can't fly under 50 feet.
Yeah, exactly. Once you take off, I mean, they're not saying you have to throw your drone up and then turn it on when it hits 50 feet. Although it wouldn't surprise me.
Yep. You have to, the craft has to be able to obscure people's faces.
That blows me away. Okay, sure.
Let's see.
There's one other silly part. What was it? But not like that's not enough.
It has to have automatic avoidance capabilities,
which is coming.
Yeah. And then they talk about the user fees, which was fairly interesting. But guess what? To collect user fees, there has to be sort of a UTM requirement or a requirement to connect to a network to be able to collect those. So it's almost a backdoor way to get network remote ID or required network connection.
Ding, 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 ding. Yep, exactly. And even the FAA said, yeah, that's not a good idea. That's not going to work. Will it eventually? Probably. I think technically it has to at some point with the big boys and girls that that play in with the big toys. And but for the vast majority of us, if it's not a BVLOS flight or even a limited BVLOS flight, we shouldn't have to have that, and we shouldn't have to pay for it.
Yeah,
I think it's silly.
Yeah, I totally think it's silly too. And it's gonna impact, if it passes, which I of course we hope it won't, do our best not to. It's gonna impact flights within Texas. If you do business down there and you fly down there, you're gonna have to have all these equipment requirements on you.
Yep.
It's gonna impact manufacturers like Troy. Nathan from Cloud Standard Labs, does he have to create a whole new drone just for Texas?
Yep.
And it sets bad precedent too. You think about that.
That's the key. That's the key why we need to fight it. If Texas gets away with this, so can Vermont, New Hampshire, Colorado, Oregon, California probably first. We all know that. And then New York, whatever. I mean, we got to make sure that doesn't happen.
And that's the exact thing that we're worried about with Senator Lee's bill too. So that's where that overlap.
There you go. That is that overlap. And we need to give a shout out to both, Scott Shtofman. I can never say his last name. You know who you are, Scott, and Adrian, who are actually really kind of spearheading this. I think they might have a meeting tomorrow. I think I got a notice from Scott that they might have a meeting tomorrow and really fight this. And so that's really what the DSPA is all about. It is not only doing the national stuff, is helping out where we can with the legislative stuff in the states. Maybe the local a little bit. I know you do stuff locally. I do stuff locally, but for the most part, And even if somebody else is doing something locally, we can give them a heads up on that. But we got to work on that Texas thing together, because that could affect all of us.
And what's great is we're rallying the troops in Texas and also getting small manufacturers that would be impacted to submit testimony.
Yep.
Because what's going to make the difference is small businesses in Texas telling the rep, hey, you're hitting my bottom line.
That's right. Yeah. And guess what comes out of my bottom line? Taxes. So that's less money for you if you mess up our stuff.
Yep.
And we all know, even those not in the industry understand that drones are playing a huge part in the economy right now, and it's just going to get nowhere, or going to go nowhere but up. No pun intended. But yeah, so it's going to become a larger part of the economy in Texas and everywhere, United States, across the world. They're doing some phenomenal stuff in Africa, but we need to make sure stuff like Texas doesn't happen.
Yeah, that was a horrible pun, by the way.
I know, and it's. But what else would you use besides up? I mean, expand. We'll figure it out. That'll be another thing we'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what are you doing with the ASTM and RID?
So right now we're working on the MOC, the means of compliance.
There you go.
Means of compliance, which will be submitted to the FAA, of course. And one of the things that we're doing is, as we go sort of through the actual standard itself, I'm doing, for myself at least, on the committee, I'm making sure that our interests are actually protected, because one of the things I want to make sure is, for example, operations that we normally do, like operations that are underground or within inside, or that go from inside to outside, we'll still be able to do.
Right.
So that's just part of it, making sure that the committee has our input, and just remind them, hey, think of these use cases. Another one is, if a lot of us take off, do our little thing, land, shut down the motors, but the bird's still hot, and take off again. And it's like, does the system need to retest everything? So it's little things like that could cause little issues, especially timing shots or missions. So
retest with every battery change. That would suck. That would suck big time. Have to do that. Definitely. A system check. There we go. Yeah. Yep. If everybody wants to know, and you and I both get this question all the time, and I know, and we both know what the answer is, but when are we going to see the ASTM standards come out for RID so we can make plans accordingly?
That's always a hard question.
Exactly.
The reason why is it's a process, and it's a consensus-based process. So if somebody says no, then we got to address the issue. So the FAA said 6 months. We're going to try to meet that benchmark, because there's a lot of milestones we have to hit along the way. So we're hoping 8 months, maybe.
So don't
hoping for 4. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Now, does it have to be 100% consensus to get out, or are people allowed to publish a dissension?
As long as we address it, and we can say we can say it's a non-persuasive argument.
I like that wording. I'm gonna use it on my wife.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. No, she won't watch this, I promise. Yeah. So cool. And yeah, we both know that it's going to take a while. Everybody wants ASTM standards now. And it's just, the FAA is involved in the process. So it's not like it's then going to go after the FAA and oh, no, we don't like this, and this, start over. So that aspect of it actually is going to be fairly straightforward.
A lot of folks don't understand the makeup of the ASTM group either. So you got your heavy hitters, you have your Wing, you have your Amazons, you have your Intels, but you also have folks like me, Dave Messina's on it. And then it's also a lot of international folks from which is interesting. So it's likely not only just going to be a US standard, but a lot of other countries will be mirroring it too.
Good.
So this has just been a great way to sort of shape the standard internationally, and we're having DSPA is having an international impact, which is great.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. That's kind of fun. That's a nice little side effect of the work you do as Kinji. So that's kind of cool. But speaking of the work we do, last January, as everybody pretty much knows, we were appointed to the DAC, the Drone Advisory Committee, and how it was interesting watching participating in the first DAC meeting, even though they got my name wrong once. But that was kind of funny. He corrected himself right away. Jay's a good guy. But it was, even though I had been on part of one before, or I've been observer on one before, you've been on one before. My takeaway, I'll talk about my takeaway first, was it was kind of boring, which I knew it would be. And the only task we got was not something I'm all that interested in. So I got to jump in on some of the task groups here probably in the next week or so. But it was a formal meeting that didn't get a lot done. And I think that's a typical government meeting at this point, because we both know all the work's going to be done in the task groups. It was sort of introductory since there were so many new members, and just kind of rallying the troops and rah, 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 and let's go out and do this. I think it was a good meeting. Don't get me wrong. And I'm glad I was part of it, and I'm glad I was chosen to be on it. I'm hoping for more activity, more let's get in there, get our hands dirty kind of stuff next time, which, given the fact that everything was so keyed up around the new rules and remote ID until last January, there probably wasn't a lot of work to do until this stuff happened. So what was your takeaway?
My takeaway is I wasn't very surprised, because what it is the DAC, we hear a lot of report outs from the task groups where the real work gets done. And then if you're not on a task group, it's an opportunity for us to ask questions of the subgroup leads. So for me, having a background serving on governmental sort of advisory groups, it was nothing new for me, but it did give us an opportunity to say, hey, let's get a recreational person on the DAC, and that was pretty interesting just to see the reaction.
The reaction, exactly. Some of those like, huh. And we know who we want on there. Keep your fingers crossed on it. We can say it, David Messina. We want David on there with us. He would be a great recreational and FPV representative.
Yeah,
although both of us, go ahead.
Yeah, and he's been really active on the task groups too, so which is fantastic.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He's probably done more work for on the DAC than the DAC members have, most of them anyway, simply because he's so active in the task groups.
Yeah,
and he's so passionate about the industry, and he's so passionate about safety that he just dives in. He's like, boom, let's go.
What's fascinating too is a lot of the DAC members don't participate in the task groups. They actually have subordinates take their place and just do all the work, which is fairly interesting to me. I wish that the folks who are on the DAC actually participate, because it gives them a real knowledge base that you can't get from report outs from your subordinate. It just does not make sense to me.
But is that a result of who is on the DAC? I mean, you're the one of the requirements was what, CEO level or CFO level, whatever it was, representative. But if you're of that level in a standard corporation, not like you and I, where you're Amazon, you're Skyward, you're Skydio, whoever, that's kind of not your job to do that kind of stuff. Your job is to delegate those who know what to do that kind of stuff, and then you gather everything and then you spew it out. Well, spew is not the right word. I didn't mean it that way. You then share what your internal task group learned. So I think that's just a symptom of how the DAC, or a result of how the DAC was formed, and what level executives are supposed to be on that. Just my take.
Though you do get a lot of really cool people. I mean,
absolutely.
Look at, like, for example, Mark Colburn. He's Kathy's on board now from Alaska. So you get some folks in some pretty high levels actually participating in the weeds, which is great. So.
And that's not to take anything away from who's there already. I mean, they're there for a reason. They're not there because they drew the short straw in the company. They're there because they want to advance the industry. Yeah. It's just, it would be nice if they were a little more active, but their time is a little more valuable than yours and mine. So maybe that's
true. But are you going to really get the interaction that you want instead of just a nodding head?
Well, hopefully. I'm an internal optimist, as you know. So I'm just going to assume that all those, they have a meeting every couple of weeks, and everybody who's part of the task groups come to talk to the head of who's actually on the DAC and say, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Yeah. He gets feedback, or she gets feedback. She gives feedback. He gives feedback. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to assume, because I assume the best.
All right. Now, just switching gears real quick, one of the other things that we brought up, which a lot of folks might not have picked up on, was a localized BVLOS. So and I brought that up because the New York test site had been talking about it. and it's BVLOS within sort of a confined area, which could be the step to sort of extended BVLOS, which is what you think about it with delivery and all that stuff.
Sure.
But the localized BVLOS is really cool because for us, small, medium-sized commercial operators, it's going to make it could make a huge difference, because we're talking about construction sites, we're talking about field surveying. As long as we have a confined area and it goes BVLOS, it's a mechanism to allow that, whether it be through performance-based standards or technology, to be able to just go do our thing without worrying about going afoul of federal regulations. So that's why I brought that up, because it could really improve our workflow and processes.
Oh, even what I do with photography, stills, video. If I'm flying my Mavic, I'm BVLOS a lot sooner if I'm flying an Aspire or something bigger. And so, but I'm still have, I'm 250 feet in the air, and the closest thing is 100 feet tall. And I've got full command of the airspace. Yeah. I've got situational awareness, and technically I'm beyond visual line of sight, but I'm still 100% safe.
Yep.
Unless it's nesting season, and then we get hawks. That's a whole nother issue. And so it's yeah, I would like to see the definition of visual line of sight softened, and bringing it up like you did with the DAC, I think is a good start. At least it puts a little fire in somebody, maybe a little bit. Yeah. And so a lot of people don't understand it. As DAC members, we don't set the agenda.
No.
The FAA and or the DOT set the agenda and then give us the agenda. Like what the task group that was formed, the tasking we had this time was, and this is at the federal level. It's not just an FAA level. It's just worked its way down to the FAA level. Is have gender neutral language in the regulations, and so that was the big task, or the big ask at this meeting. So that was set not by those, although it is supported by those on the DAC. It was not set by those on the DAC. So people. And then, I know you got the email saying, "Hey, when you join the DAC, tell them to do this." It's like
no,
I'll try.
I wish.
And we do try. We have opportunities to insert things. Absolutely. But yeah, we don't set the agenda.
The other big task group that's going on right now is how remote ID can be used for situational awareness of low-level aviators. So that means manned aircraft and other UAS pilots too. And one of the things that we've been sort of very, very pushing is to ensure that there's no requirement to connect to a network.
Yeah, that's going to happen. That is imperative that happens. We just for the vast majority of us, we just cannot have that network capability at any reasonable level of compliance or cost or equipage, all that fun stuff. And I think with the comments from the NPRM, for the RID NPRM, that got the point across. Hopefully we don't have to raise that again, but if we do, we got the power to do it now. Definitely. Let's not go much longer here so people don't fall asleep on us. Talk about UAST a little bit. It's a little premature, but just give an update.
We put in a request to be on the UAS safety team, which is a group of companies and the FAA. It's a public-private, almost like partnership, or that deals with the UAS safety and just how best practices and really trying to move the industry forward. Vic, do you have any input on that?
No, I don't. I have been to a UA. I'm checking the schedule for something right now. I have been to a UAST meeting. And last one I think they had in person in Anaheim. Went to that because you do have to monitor one before you can join. So I've done that. Not as DSPA as another organization at the time. But I think that's where a lot of the safety culture is going to be made. It's going to be developed. And the UAST is then going to be the vehicle which gets that information out. And I think that's where the DSPA and the UAST can really that partnership where we can get the word out and we get the safety aspects out, which is also one of the things we want to do for DSPA is let's bump the level of safety and knowledge that we've got that for the small and medium sized DSPs.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
go ahead.
One thing I want to mention too. So you'll start to get more
Mhm.
regular updates, which I think is important.
That is really important because you and I, we're not DSPA co-founders to make money. We don't make money. We don't pay ourselves for this. We have real jobs. This we do really out of a passion and a desire and a love to get this industry moving forward at a reasonable pace without unreasonable regulation. And so, yeah, definitely bringing her on, and we'll say who it is here as soon as we're at that point. It's somebody that people know in the industry, which is really awesome.
Mhm.
She's also very passionate about the industry, which is really awesome. And looking forward to her taking us to the next level. I really think she will. We've already got some things set up with her,
Yeah.
and it's gonna go well.
Yeah.
Um,
And she'll help make sure that you all know that you're getting your money's worth.
Exactly. And even if you're not a member, we're still out here fighting for you. We would like your help, obviously, to fight for you. But yeah, definitely do that. What else we want to talk about here? Oh, let's talk real quickly about Alabama and Louisiana. Ken
Go
Herron
for
was
it.
incredible on this one. He really helped a lot on this. I was on a call with I was asked to come in by somebody from Alabama, a drone pilot from Alabama. He was on a call with some people from the petrochemical industry, basically. And they were worried about drones and flying over their refineries and flying over their electrical substations and all that good stuff. And so they were trying to pass a law in Louisiana saying, hey, don't fly over us. We're going to tell you you can't fly over us. Obviously, we have some federal preemption issues with that. So I think we had a Zoom call, and I think I was with them for an hour or so,
Mhm.
and basically killed it. It didn't go anywhere. It didn't pass. It was in committee, and they realized that what they're trying to do is pass a toothless state law when it's appropriate and when the system is in place. They can actually add their facilities, if they're within reason, to a federal law with teeth. So they appreciated that. One of them actually reached out to me about a week ago asking me for more information. So again, with the DSPA kind of stuff, that put us in a position to do that. And then the Louisiana bill just kind of died its own death. We had a few letters written, and I don't think it ever made it out of committee. Gee,
Mississippi too.
gosh, pardon?
Yeah, Mississippi's
What was
died too.
Mississippi, not Louisiana? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Louisiana. I'm calling you guys out, and you didn't even do anything. It was
Oh,
Mississippi.
that's embarrassing.
I'm sorry. If you're a member in Louisiana, I'm sorry. Or if you're not a
I'd be
member in
offended.
Louisiana,
I'd totally be
I know.
offended.
I'm sorry. I'm Southern even. My family's from Georgia and South Carolina. I don't even have an excuse of ignorance.
Yeah, yeah.
Just ignorance in general. So cool. You know what? This isn't bad for our first 4 months ish.
Yeah.
Kind of, and we've been around longer than that, but you and I ended up getting busy when we didn't think we were going to. So a lot of the stuff we had planned got put on hold.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what we wanted to talk about today, and give you guys an update and give you gals an update and let you know what DSPA has been up to, both as DSPA, as Kenji, as Vic. I don't like talking about myself in third person. Anyway, we wanted to let you all know what we're doing. We're not just sitting here collecting dues. And we thank you, by the way, very, very much for those of you who both are due paying members. And we've
Thank you for
had
the
some
donation.
donations.
Yeah,
Donations
really,
are huge.
really
We really appreciate that. And it's just sitting in the bank, actually sitting in my bank here in Denver in a different account. And it's going to really be used for things like the vehicles to put the word out, being able to keep our fingers on the pulse in Washington. There's certain vehicles that, unless you can pay a full-time person to do, which is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, there are these people that will do that, or these systems that'll do that for you. And then, of course, once we can start meeting with the DAC and hopefully the UAST in person and ASTM in Kenji's case, that will help offset those expenses, because the other people who do those things are part of big corporations, and so doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it costs them money. Those $400 a night hotel rooms don't matter to them, because it's all corporate rates and that kind of stuff for them, and they get paid for it. So that's why we do what we do, and we love the industry, and we love safety, and we're passionate about it. I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah, I agree. Now, what's next?
What's next? Well, next is still Lee. Next is still Lee in Texas. That's going to be our fight for a while. And then if y'all see anything in any of your state legislatures, please do reach out to us. If we can't commit the time, we can certainly commit the resources. Say this is what you need to do. We can do that for y'all. And keep our eyes on things. I think the 2022 FAA Reauthorization Act is going to consume a lot of time. And one of the nice things about COVID, maybe the only nice thing about COVID, is a lot of the legislatures aren't that active. So we don't have to worry too much about that. There are a few here in Colorado we're watching really closely and nothing going on. Gosh, that might be it till the next firestorm.
Yep. I
and
agree.
it's just working with DACs, working with the DAC, working with those task groups, getting that stuff out, making sure that the small and medium-sized drone service provider, y'all have a voice, and that's why we do what we do.
Yep. And just a note, if you have any questions or concerns, just email us.
Email us. We're easy to find, dspalliance.org. And I'll probably just put it right across the bottom during this whole thing, so you can't not see it. Maybe flash it, make it, but it's important that we know that what we're doing for you, and it's important for you to understand that we're there for you, and it's important for us to know what you need us to do. So that's why we do what we do. That's why we have the communication set up. And excited about that. Any final words, Genji?
Nope, that's it. You did a great summary. Yeah.
That's it, folks. No, that's all, folks, whatever it was. I think we just got a copyright strike. But anyway.
we don't want to put people to sleep, man.
No, definitely not. And hopefully we'll be a little more scripted. Might have some fun theme music one of these days. So if you want to write us some theme music, we'll appreciate the donation for that as well. So I think that's it. That's it. Thanks, guys. Thanks, gals. Fly safe out there.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.